Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We start in Winnipeg, where the trial of a serial killer continues. Jeremy Skibicki says he killed Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Buffalo Woman. Now the judge has to decide if this is an NCR case, not criminally responsible due to a mental disorder. Today, court heard what the Winnipeg police found when they searched his apartment. And a warning now, details in this report and our next few stories are disturbing. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
In court, it was revealed that the forensic identification unit that processed Jeremy Skibicki's apartment after his arrest back in May 2022 found DNA samples of all 4 women that Skibicki admitted to killing. But those aren't the only DNA samples. In total, there are 16 DNA samples of women, including 9 that haven't been identified yet. The Crown's lone witness was Winnipeg Police Constable Jan DeVries. He was the exhibit officer documenting evidence from Skibicki's apartment, the building, and the back alley. DeVries provided over 130 photos of the scene. They were discussed in court but weren't shown because of their graphic nature. Amongst those photos were clothing items of Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, and Mercedes Myron. A reversible jacket belonging to Buffalo Woman was also among the photos. Court heard this wasn't found in the apartment, but it was later recovered by police from a man who bought it off Skibicki on Facebook Marketplace. There were other items in the apartment with DNA of the victims: coffee cups, pillows, and mattresses. Police documented a total of 16 different female profiles. One of those samples was that of Ashley Shingus. She went missing in 2022. In January 2023, her father told the media that his daughter could be Buffalo Woman, and he gave his DNA to the police that ruled out Shingus as Buffalo Woman, so her identity is still unknown. Court has so far not heard anything from Skibicki himself about Shingus, but her DNA in his apartment is among the Crown and Defense statement of facts. DeVries also told court about the bathroom in Skibicki's apartment. Earlier this week, we heard that all 4 women were killed in the bathtub. DeVries said WPS used a visualization spray to process his bathroom. He told court the spray shows blood splatter that's been cleaned up and can't be seen with the naked eye. In his words, the bathtub was very fluorescent and that it covered the entire bathtub. Screenshots of Skibicki were also mentioned in court. They are from video surveillance of him throwing out garbage bags prior to the search of his place. As we learned earlier this week, the search only happened because a garbage salvager called 911. He was rummaging through the bins behind Skibicki's apartment when he came across some remains of Rebecca Contois. The Crown will continue to press their case for the rest of the week. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
So much more on this trial over on our website, aptnnews.ca, including stories by web reporter Kathleen Martins. And if you're triggered by this story, supports are available 24/7 through the MMIWG support line. That number is 1-844-413-6649. Meanwhile, a video of a man harassing families of serial killer Jeremy Skibicki's victims has sparked outrage on social media. The video, taken outside of the RBC Convention Center in Winnipeg, depicts the man screaming profanities at the families as he becomes physically aggressive. A person can be heard telling others to not engage. The man is repeatedly told to leave the area, and he eventually walks away. His identity has not been officially confirmed. Also, earlier today, a different man was barred from entering the courtroom of the Skibicki trial after he was identified as a potential security risk to the families. Our Truth in Politics panel is here now to discuss the ongoing trial. Jennifer Leywitz is with War Shield Consulting. She's in Prince Albert. And Winnipeg Free columnist, opinion columnist Negon Sinclair is with us in Winnipeg. Negon, Jennifer, thanks for being with us as always. Negon, let's start with you this week. This man has admitted to killing 4 of our Indigenous women, and yet that doesn't necessarily mean jail time. Can you tell us why?
So a plea or this is an issue not about guilt any longer. This is an issue about whether the person who is alleged to have killed these four individuals, and no longer alleged. It's clear that he did the action, but that whether he was mentally capable of understanding A, what he did, and then B, what sort of responsibility that he understood. What responsibility does he take to which is the claim of non-criminally responsible? If found that he is incapable mentally of understanding his actions, then this would be in a protected facility of various different security clearances, that he would be in like a mental health center, in a lockup area kind of situation in which he may or may not become mentally well. The very similar situation for those who are understanding the justice system, this was a very similar situation claimed by Vince Lee, who was an individual on a bus a number of years ago here in Manitoba who harmed, decapitated, murdered an individual, and then claimed not to be not criminally responsible. So the medical world then inherited that individual. That's very different than this case. We're seeing I see this as not being able to carry a lot of water, this claim.
Jennifer, what impact do you think killers like Jeremy Skibicki, Sean Lamb, Robert Pickton have on our communities?
I think just thinking about the preying that they're doing, like reading some of the news articles where he was literally showing up to where our most vulnerable are, which is in homeless shelters and on the street, to allegedly formulate plans on how to lure them back. And that's the biggest problem, is right now we're seeing those social issues, addictions, homelessness, poverty. And as more and more of our people end up in these homeless shelters or on the streets, there are going to be people out there that recognize that as an opportunity and unfortunately use that as a way to take their lives. And then knowing, the fact that there has been a long-standing history of Indigenous people not being treated fairly, not only by the justice system, but their lives being invalued by police services and emergency services when they go missing. Murdered and missing Indigenous women is a huge deal in Canada. And do you think these perpetuators don't see that and know that they might not be held as responsible or have as heavy of a hand put down on them in the justice system?
Nigon, it sounds like security is becoming an issue inside and outside of the courthouse now, too. A man described as menacing and acting strangely got through security this morning, but sheriffs wouldn't let him into the courtroom. Yesterday, you may have seen the video, another man caught on Facebook video threatening family members of the victims. What do you make of this?
There's a lot of issues that this trial is bringing up, and there's also a lot of friction between people who have had this issue politicized by the previous provincial government, who said they were not going to search for women in landfills, and therefore people feel galvanized who generally might already have strong feelings towards Indigenous communities, and particularly women, and very negative ones. And so as a result, this has brought a lot of issues to the surface that comes going back to the provincial government. And people feel that this issue is kind of a linchpin for seeing that Indigenous peoples get everything all the time, or they're getting all their, somehow claiming things that they don't deserve. Or the fact is that this is a court trial in which a very serious issue, a long-standing issue, as Jennifer points out, is coming to a head here in Manitoba. We have thousands of Indigenous women and girls, Two-Spirit peoples who have gone missing, who have been murdered by individuals such as this. This is not just a single solitary issue. The fact is that Jeremy Skibicki also said during his confession with Winnipeg police, which now being called into question whether he was mentally capable of giving that confession, but he said that he, when getting rid of some of the outcomes of his actions, the bodies, he was looking at the ways previous killers like Sean Lamb had done that work.
Jennifer, what can we as a society do ourselves to protect our women as opposed to relying on outside police forces?
Well, I think the biggest thing here is the preventative measures, ensuring that our women and girls are not ending up in vulnerable situations, ending up in homeless shelters, ending up on the streets, whether that be for sex work or in other capacities, and ensuring that we're protecting them before it even gets to that point. Because right now, governments at all different levels, provincial and federally especially, are failing our people. So they're ending up in these positions. And then, we do talk about the changes that need to be made in the preventative as well, and then also the response, so the police response and stuff like that. And we talk about a lot about diversity and inclusion, but it doesn't seem to be getting better. And we did see in the last Manitoba election how there was a literal campaign happening to not search the landfill. And it's like the way that we just so casually downplay the lives of Indigenous people in this country. And I see Indigenous people and I see Indigenous advocates singing to the rooftops all the time about this, but until society essentially wakes up and starting to advocate alongside with us, then I don't know if it'll ever change.
Right. Important topic, Niga and Jennifer. Appreciate you both being here to speak about it.
You betcha.
We're always looking to hear what you have to say about anything you see here or anything you'd like to see here. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Rebecca Strong's incredible run on Canada's Got Talent continues. That story and more after the break. Welcome back. A mother from Saugeen First Nation in Manitoba is organizing a helmet drive in honor of her late daughter. Katie Pajak died in September 2021 after an ATV collision. She was not wearing a helmet at the time. Since 2022, her mother, Marilyn Corshane, has been collecting helmets to give to riders in Saugeen to prevent another tragedy. Now Corshane hopes to expand her efforts by delivering helmets and safety workshops to other First Nations.
I feel safe with Saugeen, with these kids, and that they have helmets. But now I'd like to go more towards to talk to the chiefs here about their own communities. What I'm thinking now is to go into these other communities, along with the support of all the chiefs in Manitoba, to go in and say, listen, I'd like to go in and see if you guys, could fundraise or, do a in-kind donation to buy helmets for your community and do that awareness with the community.
After 25 years, Manitoba First Nations Education Resource Centre is still finding ways to innovate learning. They've debuted a land-based education program at their annual conference in Winnipeg, but instead of going out on the land, students will log in to their laptops. Sav Jonza tells us more.
It's been 25 years since the creation of Manitoba First Nations Education Resource Centre, or MFNERC. The organization provides educational services and support to 58 First Nations schools in the province. This week, they celebrated the milestone at their annual Lighting the Fire conference in Winnipeg for First Nations educators.
It's really a testament to the great work that a lot of our people have done over the past 25 years and more in education, in First Nation education.
Charles Cochran, the executive director for MFNERC, says a lot has changed since the organization's inception, except for its principles.
In the past, when the organization first started, it was primarily to look at support services, which is really our bread and butter today. But also things have changed. Obviously, times have changed, technology, but still looking at our foundations on our languages and cultures and traditions or values. So there's things that have changed, things that are still there.
As Cochran points out, technology is a big part of children's learning in the 21st century. And MFNERC is staying innovative in how they adapt to students' interests, like land-based education through a popular computer game.
For me, it had Minecraft written all over it. I was like, this is an opportunity.
Carl Hildebrand is an education technology facilitator for Manitoba First Nations school system. It was his idea to turn Pemachewin, a key, a boreal forest and UNESCO World Heritage Site that covers part of Manitoba and Ontario, into a Minecraft map. It's an answer to concerns raised by teachers in Bloodvein River First Nation who collaborated on the project with developer Logix Academy.
Their teachers and their educators were having issues getting out on the land, and a lot of them aren't knowledgeable. They're not elders from the community. They're not knowledge keepers. So, you know, they're scared to go out because they don't really know what to do, what to experience with the kids, right?
Students and teachers alike will learn how to trap rabbits and hunt moose with the game. And ongoing updates will bring new skills for players to harness. He mentions that though an Indigenous Minecraft map was developed by the Louis Riel School Division in Winnipeg a few years ago, this is something new.
We kind of took inspiration from that because that was a flagship map and the first of its kind. But this is a first time that a First Nation community is really taking control over their own learning. They're developing this map to solve a problem in their community.
Kisikuinen educational assistant Evan Blackbird says it's fun.
It's good. I like that they have where you can talk to the elders and stuff in the game. Yeah, and then they give you the pointers that you need in that.
The elders Blackbird mentions are all actual elders in the Bloodvein River community who contributed their ideas to the project. The program will be available to students across Canada in September.
They learn quite a bit from video games, so like I feel like if they're playing, then they're going to be, and then there's stuff to learn in here, maybe they even might go outside and do it. So.
Sav Chonsa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Cool stuff. The finalists for the $1 million season of Canada's Got Talent have been announced, and an Indigenous singer from Saskatchewan has made the cut. Following her emotional performance of Olivia Rodrigo's song Driver's License, Rebecca Strong of Prince Albert is moving on to the finale of Canada's Got Talent. Rebecca will be one of 8 finalists moving on to the live finale that will air on May 14th. Viewers will have the chance to vote for who they think deserves to win the $1 million cash prize when it goes to air on City TV on the 14th of May. Incredible stuff. Congrats. We've got previews of tonight's episode of Nation to Nation and tomorrow night's APTN Investigates for you after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Now, thanks to regular contributor Dave Menzies, as he was able to snap a quick shot of these Canadian geese forming a takeoff near Steinbach, Manitoba. Thanks, Dave. Send your photos to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 10 with showers in Halifax, 14 in Fredericton, 10 in Kuujjuaq, 6 in Nain, 17 for Montreal, showers, and 16 in Val-d'Or. 15 in Sault Ste. Marie, a cloudy high of 16 for North Bay. Showers and 12 in Thunder Bay, rain and 15 for Sioux Lookout. 13 in God's Lake, 18 in Norway House and Thompson. Showers and 21 in Winnipeg, 22 in Dauphin and Brandon. Sun's out and 23 in Regina, a sunny high of 25 for Saskatoon. 25 in Meadow Lake, 22 in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, 26 for Peace River, Fort McMurray, and Grand Prairie. Sunny and 27 in Edmonton, sun's out and 24 for Lethbridge. Sunny high of 19 in Vancouver, 30 above, and sunny in Kamloops. 26 in Prince George, 19 for Smithers. 6 above in Old Crow, 9 for Whitehorse. 18 in Yellowknife, showers, and 14 in Norman Wells. -2 in Sax Harbor, +2 for Pawlatuck. 0 with snow in Chesterfield, 2 above and flurries in Whale Cove. -13 in Resolute, 0 with snow in Iqaluit. Over to our Ottawa studio now, where Fraser Needham is standing by with an update on what's ahead on Nation to Nation.
Coming up after the news, Canada's Northern Affairs Minister Dan Vandal says the Métis Nation of Ontario has some work to do in proving itself as a legitimate organization to both First Nations and other Métis governments. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault says things must change after a plastics company in southwestern Ontario continues to emit high levels of benzenes into the atmosphere, affecting a nearby First Nation. And British Columbia's Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, Jennifer Whiteside, says the province is exploring different ways of combating the toxic drug supply. You'll hear from them in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Fraser. Back in Winnipeg, the Manwin Hotel on Main Street Strip has become a hub for drugs and violence in the city. But with a lack of housing, it's also become a last resort for the city's vulnerable population. Tomorrow night on an all-new episode of APTN Investigates, video journalist Tamara Pimentel takes us behind the doors of the Manwin and speaks with those most affected. Here's a preview.
Barb and Vivian Ketchum, who often joins her on these walks, take us inside to see if there's been any improvements.
Still the same condition when you said they were fixing it?
This is one of the communal bathrooms?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. That other one, that other bathroom, we were in there.
There's no tap here.
This isn't a typical hotel. There isn't a front desk with staff to welcome you.
Yeah.
And most of the washrooms are shared. So we have a shower here without any sort of privacy.
When we came there was a girl in there, and then the guy just walked in. There's no doors or nothing.
There's no tap here either. The hot water tap is missing. This is missing right over here.
Around almost every corner is drug use. Windows are missing. And baseboard heaters are broken.
There is no heat here at all. Look at this. No heat at all.
So how are people staying warm if these base heaters aren't working?
Well, the last time we came, we asked one of the guys, and they said they were bunched up in one room.
Okay, this
for
is
body heat. Yeah.
Somebody's needle up this.
You can catch that episode of APTN Investigates Beyond the Strip tomorrow night, immediately following the APTN National News. We'll also speak with Tamara about the documentary right here tomorrow night. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. And be sure to join us here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for our recently added afternoon newscast. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy Miigwech. Thanks for being with us. Stick around. Nation to Nation is next. Have a great night.